Eliminate the workplace excuse. That's what leaders do. This is the Career Blind Spot Podcast.
Courtney, blind spot question. Why do you like Inside the NBA?
Why do you like it?
I don't. Their back and forth just amuses me to no end. I love their banter.
So for people who don't know, Inside the NBA or NBA on TNT, well, that's definitely gone. But Inside the NBA is a show that was on 30, not quite 40 years, but a long time, that covered the NBA. And in the last 20, has won Emmys, all these things with former NBA players, Charles Barkley or Chuck, Shaquille O'Neal, Kenny the Jet Smith, and with the anchor or the glue that holds it together, Ernie Johnson, who's the son of an even more famous broadcaster in Atlanta. That was where they shot it. So I watch it all the time, even if I'm not that big into the NBA season. And Courtney, I wouldn't say you watch it, but you definitely...
In passing, I'll sit down, or you'll show me clips and I enjoy them.
Yeah. What do you enjoy about it?
They make me actually kind of care about what's going on with basketball because they make it relatable to a wider audience.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely about basketball, but it's more like they steal the show. Like they're way more entertaining than the games.
Like I would want to hang out with them all together.
Well, see, that's where I wanted to bring this up. So what I love about it, I mean, Chuck is the appeal.
Yeah.
But even when he was only a guest, because I think he's been a mainstay for, I think about 20 years now. But Shaq, I didn't like when he joined at first, and even every now and again it triggers me of like, shut up. Like he wants attention, but he does have a lot of great qualities that it would not be the same show without him. And then Kenny, I both feel bad for him, but then also like, you're bringing this on yourself. And these are all athletes talking about basketball, the modern game. They're the old heads. But Ernie Johnson, the white guy who they call him the Godfather, and they're all like, but you're black. And it's like they say a lot of not inappropriate things, but things you're like, oh my God, they're saying it on TV. And Ernie is usually the voice of reason or levity. And so I love it because I mean, I do love basketball. And while I'm not as huge of a fan as I used to be, I like to keep up on it. And to hear Charles Barkley's always going to say what he believes, regardless of how off the cuff or whatnot. And I think he does apologize, not too often, but he also makes jokes.
But when he's wrong, he does, yeah.
Yeah, but he will double down on whatever it is believes, and he'll call people knuckleheads or fools. So I just love this mess of egos and this one person. Like in terms of disc, it's 3 high I's. 2 of them, Shaq and Charles, are definitely high D. But Ernie Johnson, the main anchor, or I don't know what the right term is, but the wrangler is the high C, the high S. He's chill. He's got structure. There's a behind the scenes where they talked about Charles ripped up his papers like as a joke. And Ernie was like, he almost like, yeah, you, and he's like a good, he's just like the nicest, wholesome man.
Wholesome.
And like he, even in reliving it, he got so mad and hurt at it because he's like, that's my job and you're not taking it seriously. Mm-hmm. And, you know, for Christmas, Shaq has gotten pushed into the Christmas tree, like I enjoy watching in ways that I'm not even sure are real or not. But why am I bringing up this? Another TV show or pop culture is like, these are egos, and it reminds me of meetings where people hijack, not just with executives, but anyone being a team lead, a manager, peers, etc. And so what I like about the show is just to see that definitely the tension and the conflict, but also when they are wholesome and sweet to each other, which isn't too often. I think it would be a very different show that I might not engage with because it might be forced.
Right.
But it is very organic in that way. So yeah, you always hear me busting up laughing. I love now when our son, he'll be doing something else and I'll be like, haha. And he looks at me and he's like, haha. Like he doesn't know what's funny, but I'm belly laughing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, you knew about it before I watched it, right? Or before? No? Oh, really?
I had never heard of it. How would I have? It's not, you know.
I mean, you said you grew up on Charles Barkley and Sons.
Yeah, I grew up watching the Suns playing from like 91 to like 96, and then I was out.
So breaking it down, you know, with these shorter episodes, I gave the disc styles. Charles Barkley, if you don't know, if you're listening on this or watching on YouTube,
Trash talker.
One of the greatest players of all time to never win the championship. That's shifting a little bit because there have been other players, but he'll always be, I think, a top 20. For me, he's definitely top 10. But Shaq, who did win a lot and likes to throw that in Chuck's face whenever he can't make his point. And what Charles Barkley likes to point out is like, Shaq doesn't know how to play basketball. He's just always been the biggest, strongest guy in the room. And that's not fully true, but I'm also like, yeah, because Shaq kind of says the most generic, they need to double down, and other guys, like, I don't take away, like, he would whoop my butt on the court, but I'm like, there's a strategic way of playing the game. And if you take Shaq and you make him a foot shorter or even 30 pounds lighter, like, I'm not sure if he dominates in the way. And one of people said he's the most underachieving player for a guy who won that much, who he would get fat in the really season party.
Contribute to it?
And no, he did.
Oh.
But they're saying, like, but what if he was as disciplined, even just a little bit more than, like they say, like Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan, obsessed, etc. And Shaq was like, no, I'm going to show up and I'll get in shape playing in the season. And that worked for him.
I feel like that's you.
Yeah. But, so you have these egos, and I don't want to say respect, but I see Charles's logic a lot in the game, but also he likes to gamble and he loses a lot. So it's like, he always says, I guarantee. And usually that means he's going to be wrong. And so people switch their bets in real life. And then you have the longest athlete, which is Kenny the Jet Smith, who I'd say is probably more IS, although he's probably has some dominance, but more easygoing, but also passive, if not aggressive. Mm-hmm. And man, he can put his foot in his mouth, and he always is trying, as I wax poetic here, gets long-winded.
Yes.
And Charles,
and very passionate.
They'll be like making noise and just like, and they're just like eye rolling and cringe. So they're just constantly, they'll argue. Charles and Kenny tend to have more of a objective but strongly opinionated view on the game. Shaq, I think, does have good instincts, but he does not a great job explaining, because I think if they were to stack up like their predictions, I think Shaq is actually right more of the time, but his explaining there, it's almost like he's guessing on the test. Yeah, he might be getting better grades, but you're still guessing.
I don't think I've ever gotten I don't think I've ever seen somebody so excited to talk about an analogy for meetings.
Oh, Kenny?
No, you.
Me? Oh. Yeah. And then you have Ernie, who I listened to his audio. Did I listen or read it? I don't remember, but I was really glad that I did. I always thought he was a traditional Christian man, just wholesome. No, he always been wholesome, but he didn't really convert until later. And while that's not super important, just like that guy has the most emotional intelligence. Yeah. And even when people are getting mad, you can see him and he'll speak up or cut them off. Like one of the best clips, if you want to pause this and come back, is he's letting Charles Barkley talk, and then he's supposed to switch to Shaq, and instead Charles keeps going, and then later on they're about to end, Ernie's like, go ahead, Shaq. He's like, no, man. And he gets so pissed, Shaq, and he's like, it's supposed to be 1, 2, 3, not 1, 2 back to 1. And then it's like, it makes Ernie like bust up laughing. So when he breaks and he laughs, whoever's getting laughed at is even more mad. And because Ernie's more of that compliance, that traditional, that person who's incredibly, I don't know if loyal, but like just appreciates the game.
It's very earnest. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's funny because here I am watching the show for entertainment, but at the same time, like I like the sport of basketball, all the noise and stuff that goes with it. I'll get sucked in, but I feel, I could have done something else, but with Ernie and the way he talks about it. So bringing this up these are 4 very different, but are somewhat similar, but also very different personalities. And I was going to say Kenny, the guy who he gives analogies all the time, and they will eye roll and cringe. And I'm sometimes like, yeah, you just did it. I'm like, am I that way? I don't care if I'm that way. I think he really cares that people are like, wow. And every now and again, he'll get a good one in. And
that reminds me of someone, but not you.
I knock it out of the park. But my bringing this up is in meetings, I'm sure you have, you, the audience, you, the listener, the leader, whether it's you or your peers or the bosses, these people, you just know what you're going to get when you tune in. and it's probably not as wholesome and as fun as inside the NBA or as tense. There has been times where you're like, oh man, is Shaq actually going to hit Charles, or are they really wrestling? They're always doing insane things. But I don't know, anything to add from your proxy watching of the show?
No, I mean, I just enjoy the band. I really enjoy listening to them talk to each other.
Could you agile meeting them? Do you think you could take an hour meeting and get them to finish it in 7 to 12 minutes that you take so much pride in?
I could, but would it be as much fun or entertaining? No.
What would you do different?
Just cut them all off and be like, that's a good point.
Mm-hmm.
Or we're going to pause here.
I don't think, I think Shaq would listen to you, but I don't think Chuck would. I think Chuck would guarantee.
Let's test it.
Yeah.
Let's test
Although he
it.
is actually always trying to get out early because they're on East Coast time where
That's
when I'm
what it is.
watching,
You gotta appeal
it's
to
like
people's
1, 2 in the morning.
motivations.
So call to action. What egos are shaping your meetings? Now, you better count yourself, especially if you're the one leading the meeting.
Mm-hmm.
But there's probably other people in there that are either hijacking or not. You know, sometimes silence is deadly to production and progress. So I really encourage you. You don't need to watch the Inside the NBA or whatever show, but even like what is that? You don't watch it, but you know of it. Bravo, where the housewives like fight with each other. Like the appeal is, oh, these egos are clashing and whatever. And you know, I think that is, what do you call it? Produced.
Yeah.
And I mean, Inside has some, but these men are being themselves for the most part, flaws and all. But the egos are shaping the meeting, and whether or not your mission accomplished or you're falling short, it's due to the loudest and quietest voices in the room. So
you're saying that I run meetings perfectly because I am the loudest and the quietest in the room. Oh.
I make this show for leaders, those who don't point fingers, but point towards ways they can do better at work. My ask for listening is you share the show on social and or with other leaders, established or aspiring. Until then, no talent, no culture, no excuses.